I've been the target of a multi-interest black ops for many years involving not only a totalitarian church that has its own spy wing, but multiple powerful Hollywood-connected families surrounding the rape suspect at the center of my book. But prior to that, I believe these intelligence agency linked families were involved in a black ops connected to this church and possibly government spy agencies as well. And I live in a large, bustling metropolitan area. It's probable that a couple organized criminal associations have a stake in my black ops as well. And so I experience a very frequent occurrence of Twilight Zone-esque coincidences, bizarre interactions, bullying, trolling that most people may experience once every several years. It sometimes resembles the Twilight Zone or a Stephen King short story. And it makes for an endless wealth of material, but it's still concerning. There was a time in 2017 or 2018, I was living in Ditmas, New York, and I went to a general physician's checkup at a medical center down the street just for a routine annual physical. It was a family health center. They were not particularly busy or overworked on that particular day. I'm always very level-headed and calm and polite. I think in general with my interactions like these, but especially knowing that many instances are going to involve somebody trying to troll or sabotage me because of the black ops. So the medical technician, nurse person, it wasn't the main physician, the one who takes your basic vitals before the doctor comes in, sat me down in the office and got my blood pressure, my weight, my height. And when she measured my height, she's like 5'7" I was like, no, I'm 5'8". As an adult, I've always been 5'8", and I'm in my 20s. People don't start to shrink, unless they have a severe condition at this age. I'm definitely 5'8". And she's really calmly, not even acknowledging that it's weird that my height would be a whole inch off. She's like, well, do you want to use the other scale? I was like, yeah, because I know I'm 5'8", and I was like, and as far as I know, you don't start to actually lose height, until you're a senior citizen, losing bone mass, in your, 80s or something, maybe your 70s, but if it's happening in your 20s, that is not a casual thing. I'm definitely 5'8". And she's like, well, let's measure you on the other scale then. So I get on the other scale, and it also says 5'7". I was like, no, I'm definitely 5'8", and I'm in my 20s, so, I'm not going to be losing inches unless I have some horrible, early school, something going on. She's like, well, maybe you just shrunk. And I was like, wait, why? She said it really casually, didn't even look away from her computer screen. Didn't even say it comfortingly, the way I'm the way I'm saying it sounds like comforting and friendly compared to the way she said it, which was like totally indifferent. And I was like, well, even if it was remotely normal to shrink at this age, like I wouldn't shrink because I do yoga all the time. So I'm constantly elongating my muscles. I run, I exercise. So as far as I know, it would indicate a serious health issue for me to suddenly shrink an inch at this age, even if I wasn't exercising. But I do exercises where I'm stretching my body and my muscles would be elongating. So I'm definitely not 5'7" unless there's a serious issue. And she was like, huh. Now that sounds, first of all, like no like credible medical technician or professional would respond that way to something like that. Like they would say, either, oh my God, something's going on, or they would say, okay, well, both scales, I'll check the calibration, later in the day after you're gone, and I'll follow up with you to find out what's really happening. The fact that they just responded that way, I was just like, okay, this person is either like getting some incentive to troll me, or I don't know who is like behind this happening, but like the odds of it just being a coincidence are so minuscule. Like, because of this black ops I'm experiencing, like it's literally like I'm getting, experimented on by like Henry Murray or whatever. It's just crazy. The frequency with which things like this happen is like so insane. And I don't know if it's the Church of Scientology or like the Cargman family hiring like Black Cuban Kroll, or like a government experiment, or like, some organized crime boss like paid off one of the medical technicians at, the family health center down the street where I was living in Ditmas. Don't know which one it was, but it was almost 100% one of those options or something similar. Because it's not like it was like, we were in a middle of a peak emergency room thing where she just couldn't deal with something like that. Like, and even if she was busy, you would say, oh my God, it's an inch off. Clearly, I'm going to validate your feelings and I'm going to check and follow up with you about, if the scales weren't calibrated. But she literally was like, maybe you shrunk. And I was like, well, that doesn't make any sense. I'm like, I know I'm 5'8", like, and if I shrunk, wouldn't that mean something really serious would be happening? She's like, just like there was nothing really. At that point, I was kind of scared. I guess that's like medical gaslighting, like in the most rudimentary, blatant sense you could imagine. But because I didn't feel like there was anything physical happening, I was like, you know what? I kind of have always wanted to be shorter. So I started putting 5'7" on my acting resume, because I've often felt like I'm just a little too tall to secure kind of like more like leading lady roles. And so I just put 5'7" on my resume, just for fun. I was like, what a relief. I'm not like the tall, because I got like when I sprouted up in the 6th grade, people would like I had one friend who would call me ogre because she was really like short and I was really tall, and I always felt like really unattractive for my height, I think because of that. So it was really refreshing to be like, oh, 5'7", like, oh, I feel like a weight has been lifted and I can live the life of like a cute 5'7" tall woman. So I kind of did that because I was like, I mean, I know that's so dissociated because what this medical professional did is so crazy and so screwed up, like literally an episode of Black Mirror or like literally the Twilight Zone. But I kind of just went with it because I wasn't going through anything physical where I was worried that there was an issue. I was just like, okay, this is just another Black Ops move. I don't really know what the purpose of this woman doing that is, but anyway, but even though I did do that, you know, and the next physician appointment I went on, I was indeed 5'8". And I did kind of like during 2020, the pandemic, I had a lot of time to dwell on the many grievances I have about this Black Ops. So I did actually call that medical office. I was like, I want to come by and get the records from when you guys told me my height was 1 inch off, but I kind of didn't really get around to going down there. Because I'm also kind of afraid, like, they would try to, like, falsely profile me as, like, you know, like, a scary person who's stalking them, because I think that's kind of what this Black Ops is trying to do as well. So I kind of didn't really follow up, because I'm like, I don't want them to try to make me look crazy when I show up asking for the records, seeing if they actually wrote down 5'7", or if they actually wrote down 5'8", to try to say I'm like delusional and made up the story.